So, how you doing there? This is John Bucholtz coming at you from RWA 2018.
Welcome to Write Now Workshop Podcast, where you can write a book and change the world. I'm your host, Kitty Bucholtz, and this is episode 90, Mini Interviews live from RWA 2018, coming to you on Thursday, July 26, 2018. I am just home from Denver, Colorado, and as you may be able to hear or see if you're watching on the YouTube channel, I'm not at my best here. I talked so much that I just about lost my voice, and then after doing some debriefing talk with my writer group and my editor, I have just like a throat on fire. So, and lucky me, got just enough sleep or lack thereof to catch a cold on the plane ride home. It's totally normal stuff. I know it's just, so annoying, but here we are. So sorry about my voice. And if you're watching on YouTube, sorry, this was just the best I could do. But here's the thing. I didn't want to be any later than necessary with the podcast because I had so much fun doing a whole bunch of little mini interviews with all kinds of writers who at the romance, my brain is also a little bleh. All of the writers that I interviewed are cool people from the Romance Writers of America National Conference that was in Denver, Colorado last week. It was totally fun. Obviously, you can tell that I had enough fun talking a lot. But also, I just asked everybody, what were some of your favorite parts? Some of the people, it was their first conference or their first national conference. Some their second, some their 10th or 15th or whatever. And so I thought I would just add my little 2 cents worth to answer the question that I asked everybody else. What were some of my favorite parts of the conference? Well, always, 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 anytime that I can hear Michael Hague speak, I'm there. I've got to. So we actually paid a little bit extra to go to the young adult RWA chapters morning 4 or 5 hour special. I don't know how to say it. It's like a special event that is outside of the actual conference itself. So lots of really interesting things that I learned there that I will share with you more later. But listening to Michael Hague speak, of course, is always one of my favorite parts of any conference that he's at. In addition, even though there's something sort of embarrassing to me about spending a few $1,000s by the time you include airfare, hotel, food, and conference fees, to say that one of my favorite parts was hugging my friends. But you know what? As writers, we have so many friends who live someplace else, so many friends that we only knew online up until that first time that we got to see them in person. So yes, that was one of my favorite parts, hugging old friends, making new friends, and then also just all of the people that I met from the business side. So I went to just about every single thing that there was having to do with anything that Amazon put on as a workshop, the Kobo workshop. I met with the Ingram Spark people. Who else did I meet with? Oh, I got to see Mark Dawson in person and hang out with him for a little bit after lunch on one of the days. So it was really fun to put names and faces with things that were otherwise sort of out there in the ether, but things that are really important to me and my business. So that was way fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. Of course, probably my favorite part was teaching because I got to teach at this year's conference. So I taught 10 things you need to know about self-publishing before you start. That's not the exact title. I apologize. Even the Dayquil is kind of swirling around in my head right now. Cold medicine and podcasting are perhaps not the best things to do, but it is better than sneezing and sniffling while podcasting. So I'm trying to help you guys out here. And then in addition to the teaching, of course, interviewing all these people for the podcast today, that was way fun. I love doing all the podcasting stuff. And then talking to a ton of people about, hey, I have a podcast. Would you like to be on it? And hearing how many people were like, sure, I'd love to. Contact me after my deadline's over. So I am going to have some more super cool guests. I really think that all the guests I've already had are pretty super cool. But I think that you're going to be really excited about all the people who are coming up in the next 6 months or so. I'm very much looking forward to telling you more about that. I'm going to leave the names out until I actually get them on the calendar. I don't want to embarrass anybody by saying that I said that they were going to do it and then they didn't have time. But trust me, it's going to be fun. Lots of great people to talk to. And then my very last favorite thing was on the morning that we left, all I could think about was going home and sleeping in my own bed. And isn't that always the truth? Whenever you're on vacation, on a work trip, there's a point at which you're like, tonight I get to sleep in my own bed. And since flying from almost the west coast of the United States over to Sweden was almost a 2-day trip, I was very, very happy to sleep in my own bed on what night was it? It would have been Monday night. Yep. So left Sunday morning, got home Monday late afternoon, something like that. Anyway, thank goodness for movies on planes. I think it kind of calms the masses. I call it airline anesthesia. That's what movies on planes is, right? So anyway, as soon as I get my voice back, which hopefully will be in the next couple of days, I'm going to talk to you right now doing this, and then I have to stop talking so that I can get my voice back. Then I am going to do a podcast episode where I tell you a ton of all of the great stuff that I learned. So it'll be very fresh information and hopefully incredibly helpful to you. And I already feel like, all the things that I learned were helpful to me as well. I've got some great people to tell you about that they have some classes that they're either working on creating or have already created, things that are going to help you to do this little piece or that little piece in your business better. So that'll be fun coming up soon, possibly next week. Let's just see how my voice is. Or, worst case scenario, maybe the week after. So in the meantime, listen to these fun interviews. And if you're watching on YouTube, there's a couple of people who didn't want to be on video. So I'm just putting a picture of them over top of the screen when they're talking. But for the most part, it was super duper fun listening to everybody tell us their favorite parts. And I hope you enjoy it as well. All right, so as part of my mini interviews live from RWA 2018, only recorded, we would like to talk to some people who are at the RWA conference. Please tell us your name, what you write, and what you've been doing this week.
Okay, my name is Tracy Reed, and I have been walking and walking and walking and had too much wine that I have been walking. And I write contemporary romance with faith and sex.
I love it. Well, that is what RWA is about. Lots of walking and very little sleeping and doing a lot of celebrating with friends, some of which you haven't seen for a long time, right? Like maybe me?
Yes, that is correct. I haven't seen you in, oh my God, what's it been, a year?
At least.
Has it been a year? Or is it longer?
Maybe longer.
Oh my God, I haven't seen you since 2016. Oh my God, yes, it is. It's been 2016 since I saw you, and then I just met Deb. I mean, I know Deb, I've seen Deb, but I actually had you confused with somebody else. But now I'm glad I don't have you confused. But what did you ask me?
I just wanted to know how you liked the conference.
Oh, I've been having a really good time. I did. I learned a lot, which is good, and I got a ton of books, which now I have to figure out how to get home, which I put in the suitcase, and I think I actually have 50 pounds worth of books. Plus, I've got a bunch of swag in my purse and in my book bag. So I am praying that I get everything on the plane without any problem whatsoever. And then when I get home, I know my folks are going to probably curse me as they try to get the suitcase from baggage claim to the car. That pretty much sums it up.
That sounds like probably a problem a lot of people are going to have and probably have every year. I know that John and I brought an empty carry-on bag from Sweden. We just put a pair of shoes and a travel pillow in it. And we figured, we'll put that stuff back in the suitcase and then we'll have 50 pounds of stuff we can put in a carry-on and then check it. All right, tell us where people can find you and your books.
I am at readtracyreed.com. Instagram, it's the same thing. Facebook, it's the same thing. Or else Pinterest, it's the same thing. It's just Reed Tracy Reed, READ, TRACYREED. Everything else .com, .Pinterest, .Twitter, Oh, I think it's like that at Twitter. Yeah, whatever. Just look at that and you'll find me.
All right, more interviews live from RWA 2018, though not really live, recorded. I'm probably going to say that every time. Today, right now, I'm talking to Deb Mullins, one of my favorite authors of pirate books, even though she writes tons of other stuff. Deb, what have you been doing at RWA?
I've been mostly catching up with old friends.
Which is awesome because I'm one of them, so yes. I've been able to spend lots of time.
Yes, I've been spending lots of time with you, especially since you're international now.
That's right, that's right. So maybe at some point we'll have to have some sort of romance writers conference in Sweden.
Yes, I believe you should run it.
All right, that's something I'll consider. All right, so tell us, what have you been learning? What's the best part of RWA this year?
Well, like I said, for me, it's been about hooking up with old friends, and I saw people I haven't seen for 20 years, and so, which was really nice. And just being able to get back into it, I've been out of the loop for a little while, and so it's been great.
Yeah, you and I have been talking about the things that sometimes take us away from the writing, and I think we're going to actually do an episode just with you and me talking about when medical issues take you out of it, how to get back into it or how to ease back into it slowly. Is that something that, am I describing that correctly?
Yeah, I mean, at this conference, I kind of feel like a rookie again. I feel brand new. My agent's not here. I'm in between publishers, and I'm learning new stuff with all the new things that are out with e-publishing and all that. So I feel like I'm brand new.
Well, excellent. We'll tell everybody what date that comes out as soon as we get it organized. In the meantime, where can people find out more about you and your Westerns, your paranormals, my favorite pirate story? Where can people find you?
Don't forget my England books. I have a whole pile of Regencies and Victorians, too. You can find me at DebraMullins.com. And I'm on Twitter, too, as Debra Mullins.
Awesome. All right, another live from RWA 2018 video. We are talking to author Kathryn R. Beal. Did I say that right?
You did. Awesome. You did.
And, yeah, the thing with live videos is it's all very kind of in the moment. So Kathryn was just reminding me that the reason why she looked familiar and we had talked is because for some weird reason I decided to ask her jokingly, "Oh, are you related to Jessica Biel?"
And I get that a lot. And in meetings with my day job, people will actually refer to me as Jessica. And although I love my husband and find him very attractive, he's no Justin Timberlake.
But he's probably not watching this video, so it's okay to say it.
It is okay to say it. And he owns that as well.
Awesome. All right. So what have you found to be like the coolest things about this year's RWA?
Just the networking with different people and meeting different people. One of my favorite things about RWA is the stack of books I go home with every year, because I'm a writer because I'm a reader. That was my first thing. So I can't wait to discover new authors. I have cards so I can look up books, and so I'm excited for all the reading material.
I have to admit, I did bring an extra empty bag so that I could put books on it on the way back home.
As did I. This is my third year. The first year I really couldn't take as much as I wanted. The second year I ended up paying to ship a box home, so I figured I might as well just check the bag and get it done.
I did the same thing. I checked postage, and then I'm like, wait, my bag is only going to cost me $50. So there we go. All right, where can listeners find you and your books?
My website is www.KathrynRBiel. It's KathrynRBiel, just like that. .com. My books are for sale. All of my books are for sale on Amazon in both ebook and print. 7 of my 11 are for sale on Barnes & Noble, Kobo, iTunes, and I have several books in audio as well.
Awesome. That'll be fun. Well, readers, go check her out. More live from RWA 2018. We've got another author with us, Melissa Baldwin, and I'm so excited because she has so many of the same little stickers that I have. She is chick lit, rom-com, and cozy. Melissa, tell us about you.
Hi. Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. This is my 4th RWA conference, and it will definitely not be my last. I will be in New York next year. I write cozy mystery and romantic comedy, as you said before. I have 14 novels and novellas out, and I've always been a huge romantic comedy fan, and I started when I was young reading The Babysitter's Club, and ever since then I just enjoyed it, and I write what I like to read, so that's why those are my genres.
That is so what I do. Yeah, I was actually telling somebody, well, I'm writing this book because I want to read this book. Right. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
So what have you enjoyed most about RWA, or learned that you were like, that is the coolest, or what's been the best part?
I hate to say it like this, but I like to come for the social aspect and meet new people, but mostly spend time with friends. And most of my author community does not live near me, so I would say like my best friends are far away from me. Everybody lives far away. So this is the one opportunity, like once a year at least, that we get to see each other and help each other and support each other. And that's been the best part of it for me.
I have to say that I've learned a ton, but hugging people that I haven't been able to hug in a year or 2 or 5 has been awesome.
Yes, that's definitely a big thing for me too.
Well, listen, where can readers, sorry, I always say that because we are all readers. Where can listeners find out more about you and your books?
I have a website, authormelissabaldwin.com. I'm also on all social media platforms, so search me. And I spend a lot of time on social media, probably more than I should. But you can find me there, and I'm always willing to chat with you or answer any questions, and just message me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
More live from RWA, we have another author, Becky Monson. Becky, tell us about you.
Well, I've been writing books for about 6 years, 7 years, and I write chick lit and sometimes sweet, and romantic comedies are my favorite. So
I am going to capture some of these people and just say, please be my friend, because we have so much in common. Plus, I'm super excited because Becky just gave me one of these awesome badges. If you're watching on YouTube, we have ribbons on our badges, and she has one that says chick lit. All right. So what have you liked most about the conference this year?
oh my gosh. Well, I do love the social aspect. It is so fun to meet everybody and just see everybody. It's like a once a year kind of family reunion feeling. Yeah. And but the classes, I mean, my brain is kind of like a little bit of a brain overload.
Yeah. My brain is like, so when are we going to stop?
Right? And then no sleep. I've literally had none. I'm exhausted.
Yeah. There's a certain amount of, I think I'm going to sleep on the plane for the first time in a long time. So is there a particular class that you found like, wow, that was a tip I really needed and I'm going to put into effect right away?
You know, there were so many good ones, but I really loved Kristen Higgins' dialogue class. She's so entertaining and her books are so amazing. And I just really loved it. And I mean, I've been writing, but it made me want to go back and like fix all my dialogue.
Yeah. I'm excited because I asked her if she would be a guest on the podcast. And she said, yes, when she's not under deadline, she will. So speaking of books, where can listeners find you and your books?
So I'm online under my website is www.beckymonson.com. And then I'm on all social media platforms and I'm mainly on Amazon.
Excellent. And for people who are listening only, can you spell that again for us? Because your last name is not something I would have normally been able to figure out if I just heard it.
Gotcha. Becky Monson, Monson.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
More live interviews from RWA 2018. That's right. It's always hard. It's backwards, right? Today, I am talking to Gracie Evans, who is a pro at RWA. Gracie, tell us, what does that mean to be a pro?
It means that I haven't yet published, but I am well on my way to being published. I've actually finished my first draft and working on polishing it up so it can be published.
Excellent. So one of the reasons maybe that you're here is to find out what agents and editors might be interested?
That and just getting craft tips to make sure that I'm putting out the best possible manuscript, because I'm a reader and I love reading great books. And I've read some not so great books, and I don't want one of mine to be the not so great books.
Right. So is there any one tip that's really stuck with you that you've learned that you're like, that is awesome?
I took 2 really great classes here, which was about writing for your id. So it's what makes you enjoy your book, and making sure that you put that in the book and don't edit it out because of what somebody else is saying. So you really are writing for yourself. And the psychology of fiction, which I thought was totally interesting.
Wow, that does sound interesting. I hope they recorded it because I'm going to get the flash drive of all the recordings.
Those two are recorded, and I actually went to both of them, and I'm going to buy those recordings. It was that good.
Nice. Awesome. Well, listen, where can listeners find out more about you, Gracie?
I'm on Facebook. It's Gracey Evans. You can look for me. This is my face.
Now, for people who are only listening, let's spell your name.
It's Gracey Evans, Evans. And I'm also Gracey Writes at Gracey Writes on Twitter and at Gracey Writes on Instagram.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing with us.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. Bye.
All right, more from RWA 2018, interviewing people who are attending. This is Alice Gaines. Alice, tell us a little bit about you and what you're doing at the conference.
Well, I write really steamy stuff, which is odd when people look at me because I'm I'm not a big old lady, not a little old lady. And they see me knitting, and so they think I do the sweet little heartwarming things. And actually, I've been writing the very steamy stuff since the 1990s.
Wow, that is interesting. Because in the 1990s, you probably looked like the kind of person who would write steamy romance, right?
Well, I certainly look more like it. Back then, actually, I was in the first volume of Secrets from Red Sage, which was the very first erotic romance ever published. So I'm really kind of a grandmother of the field, as you might say.
Okay, that is really cool. All right, so RWA 2018, what have you found that you either, it was a great tip, can't wait to put it into practice, or some other thing that you loved about this particular conference?
Well, I don't really have any tips. The only tip I have, and it's nothing exclusive to this conference, is just keep writing. No matter what, keep writing and don't let anyone take your joy of writing away from you. My favorite thing of the conference was meeting my editor, Brenda Chin, for the first time. She's amazing. She's been in romance almost as long as I have, and she's just a wonderful editor, and we had a great breakfast, and I'm thrilled.
That's awesome. I have met Brenda, and I think she's just the loveliest woman. And now, Alice, I have an in for someone who can ask Brenda if she'd like to be on a podcast.
Well, I would certainly ask her that. You know, I have her email and her phone number, so anytime you want to do it, I'll give you my email before we finish, and so you can get back in touch with me.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Listen, where can listeners find you and your books?
Okay, well, I have a blog where I try to put up everything. It's Alice Gaines. That's ALICEGAINES. No spaces, no periods, no anything. .blogspot.com. Otherwise, I just say, go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Google, whatever, and just put in Alice Gaines and see what pops up.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Alice. It's great to meet you.
Yeah, it was wonderful to meet you, too, and have a great conference and a good trip home.
With more live from RWA 2018, I found another author to talk to. This is Christina Alexandra. Christina, tell us a little bit about what you're doing here at the conference.
I am looking for information, getting information. I've revamped my story, so now I know where it's going, and I'm trying to find a better way to push that envelope.
Nice. So lots of educational things is what you're doing.
Absolutely. A lot of craft, a little bit of marketing, just because it is going to push a lot of, it's really going to toe the line. It's historical fiction, historical romance. It's a little gritty, a little dark, a little edgy. So it really kind of pushes the edge.
Nice. Oh my gosh, that sounds so fun. So there are so many classes at RWA conferences, plotting and character and things that are very specific, historical and paranormal and sweet romance and whatever. What are some of the classes, 1 or 2 or 3, that you're like, oh my gosh, I loved this one. I can't wait to go home and start playing with the information I gained?
There was a special session on Wednesday on planning, like using a planner and setting things up and goal setting, basically, and using it in 3-month increments instead of the whole year so it doesn't get overwhelming. And then yesterday there was another workshop on career plotting and where you want your career to go. So it goes hand in hand with that one, where the other one's 3 months. This one you plan out 2 years. Where do you want to be in 2 years? What steps you have to take to get there? And it made a whole lot of sense.
Wow. Okay. I hope that was recorded, because that means that I'll have a copy of it on the flash drive.
The second one on yesterday was. The first one, the 3-month one, was not. But it was amazing. It was really good. I can't wait to start implementing that.
Oh my gosh, that sounds awesome. I get so excited about anything that has to do with planning and organizing and time management and project management.
I got sucked into the paper planner lifestyle hard, big time this year. So it's like I get to use all my skills and planners and washi tape and everything else, and it's super exciting. So,
that reminds me, I haven't asked anybody about when they went into the demo room. There was one room that was all about planners and stuff. Did you go in there, and did you have any thoughts on, oh my gosh, I love this system, or look at that, that's really weird and new and I like it?
I did go into the room. There were a lot of tools there, pens, things like that. I have them all. Some stickers from some Etsy stores that I already have too. So I'm like, I have all this stuff. So there were some planners there that I took a look at. They were nice, but the planner system I have, I love, and I think it's really geared more towards goal setting and what I need. So that's a passion planner if anybody's interested.
Wow, very cool. Christina, where can listeners find out more about you?
I am mostly on Facebook. You can find me at Christina Alexandra or author Christina Alexandra. And then you can find me on the web at www.christinaalexandra.net.
Perfect. Thanks so much for sharing with us.
No problem. Thanks so much.
All right, another live from RWA 2018 interview, and I have a man with me. Yay! Rick, tell us who you are, why you're here, what are you doing?
So my name is Rick Ochocki, and I'm the chapter president of Romance Writers of America San Diego chapter. And I'm here at RWA 2018 trying to improve my craft and learn about the latest in the romance industry.
I love it. I love it because Rick's one of the people who really understands that whether you do or don't write romance, there is so much to learn no matter what kind of fiction you're writing, because characters are characters, and learning about setting and plotting really works for any genre. But Rick, tell us, what genres do you write in?
So I write romantic suspense, a little bit on the steamier side, and also because I'm a man with a background as an emergency responder, I like to get those technical details correct. The difference between a clip and a magazine, an engine and a pumper. So.
Yeah, I was very, very happy when I could come to you and say, Rick, could you read the scene where the ambulance comes? I'm not really sure how it goes. And at one of the write-ins that we did here, I was writing a scene and an ambulance was going to come. And I'm like, oh, I need to get a hold of Rick again and say, can you tell me whether or not I did this right? Do you get very much of that?
I do get some of the questions about that, but the best thing about the RWA convention and romance writers in general is if you have a question about some aspect of writing or your story or a scene, there's some expert here who is willing to share, happy to share. And so for me as a writer who doesn't have a full-length book published yet, but is working towards that, people like Cindy Dees, Maggie Marr, Dolores Fossen, BJ Daniels, giants in the industry take the time to answer my questions, no matter how silly they are, about, maybe it's about story, maybe it's about character, maybe it's about, is this motivation authentic? And that's just in the hallways and over cocktails. In the workshops, you have expert presenters who are freely sharing their information that they know, the experiences that they've learned. It's a terrific environment for education, professional development, and socializing.
Yes, we have been having a lot of people say, well, one of my favorite parts was socializing and, seeing friends that I haven't seen for a year or 5 years, or people I've only ever met online, and I feel like they're my friend. Of course they're my friend, but I've never actually touched them or hugged them before. Have you found any people this year that you hadn't actually met before, but you know them?
Well, so one of the drawbacks about being a man at the RWA conference is you're kind of visible. And so what happens is people who know me and were looking for me find me before I see them. But, it's great to see people that I've been connecting with by email or on Facebook from other parts of the country or even other parts of the world. And then we get to see them in person. Yeah. Welcome to this country again.
I love it. I love it. Now, there's 100 things that I loved about the conference this year. So not to put you on the spot, but are there one or two things that come to your mind that you're like, I loved this?
Well, so as an unpublished writer, the Golden Heart Awards is one of the most exciting times for me. I enter in the Golden Heart contest, and so I want to be a finalist. I want to be up on the stage. But to hear the speeches of the award winners and celebrate with them that accomplishment is so exciting. It's so motivational. It's so uplifting, and it reminds me about what a community they are, because no one is saying, "I got this, too bad." They're thanking all the people along the way who helped them, and then. So that was the luncheon, and that was great. As an unpublished writer, I do fantasize about being up there and winning the Golden Heart Award. And you don't have to change anything, RWA. I'm happy to wear the necklace when I win. For the readers, it's the same thing. Here it's people who I've been reading all year long, the best works in romantic fiction, up for recognition from their peers. And I actually know those people. They're approachable. They're generous. And then when they win, I get to celebrate them. Shout out Helen K. Diamond, incoming president of RWA and member of RWA San Diego.
I have to say, I was one of the people screaming her name at the back as well. Well, listen, this is really fun talking to you. And we mentioned to each other off screen that what I'd like to do is talk to you more about the organization and what you found it to be helpful, particularly now that you're president of a chapter. Like, you have a really interesting and wide scope view on it. So we'll talk about that more later on another interview. But in the meantime, where can people find you and your work?
Well, Kitty, I'm really happy to announce that San Diego Writers Inc. Year in Ink Anthology 11 includes the first chapter of one of my romantic suspense novels, Out of the Fire. So if you go online, sandiegowritersinc.org, and download that, you'll not only get the first chapter of Out of the Fire, but there's 51 other writers who have pieces in there, flash fiction, poetry, memoir excerpts, and so I recommend that. And discover a new writer that you love. Could be Rick Ochocki.
Awesome. And then spell your name for us and tell us, do you have a website or a social media presence? We are definitely going to need you to spell your last name, I think.
So my name is Rick, that's R-I-C-K, Ochocki, O-C-H-O-C-K-I. My blog that is very irregularly updated is Rick O Romance, and look for me on Facebook at Rick Ochocki.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being with us today, Rick.
Thank you, Kitty, and thank you for reading and being interested in romance.
More RWA 2018 live interviews. So today I am talking to author John Bucholtz. John, tell us a little bit about you. Are you a romance writer?
No, I am not. I'm actually a middle grade author who's been dragged to this event at RWA for the second time in about 4 years, and I'm here learning a lot.
Did I forget to mention you are John Bucholtz, husband to Kitty Bucholtz?
I think you forgot to mention that, yes.
So tell me, can you tell people why I dragged you here and why you've decided that the first time wasn't enough, a second time actually might be helpful as well?
Well, I have to admit, being dragged around to these events is helping me a lot as a writer. I am learning a lot. These RWA events are very well put together, and the classes are very informational. They offer a wide range of classes for everybody from the most advanced to the most basic. Today I attended a class that had to do with marketing yourself as a beginning writer, which is a lot of information that I really wanted to know. So these classes are fantastic. No matter if you're writing middle grade or romance or science fiction or suspense, I highly recommend coming to do the RWA events.
That's awesome. Now, I did not pay you to say this. This is actually from your own heart and mind. But tell us, is there one or two classes or one or two things about the conference that you were like, okay, that was so cool. I'm so glad we flew all the way from Malmö, Sweden to Denver, Colorado.
Actually, a lot of the classes were, like I said, the promotional one having to do with the beginning authors was very helpful, and all the steps that you need to take. And, right away somebody asked, hey, I haven't put a book out yet, but should I worry about a newsletter? And they're like, yes, do it now. Even though you don't have a book out, put a newsletter out now, which is something I'd heard about from people, but I really hadn't picked up on until now. So this all the classes here have been really helpful. As I said, even from a beginning standpoint, who hasn't put out a book yet, has been really helpful to me.
Now, if anybody out there has a husband or a wife or son or daughter who you're like, why won't they listen to me? This is what you need to do. You need to take them to a conference so that someone else will tell them what they need to do. Is that fairly true, John, do you think?
No, I listen to you all the time, sweetie. It was just nice to getting some confirmation from other people telling me this very same thing.
Oh, well, that's very kind. All right, John. So if people wanted to try to follow you, even though you don't have any books out, where could they find you?
I do have a Facebook page that's starting out, John Bucholtz Author. On Facebook, feel free to look me up. That's JOHNBUCHOLTZ, author. And I'm a middle grade that's soon going to be hitting the stands. Just you watch.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, John.
Thank you, Kitty.
And another live from RWA 2018. This time I've got a pair of sisters, both first-timers, both writers, and both volunteers at this year's conference. So let's introduce yourself and find out a little bit more about you. Okay.
Hi, I'm Laurel Wetzork, and I write romantic suspense. This is my first national conference, and my brain feels fried. And I think that's it. I'm loving having my sister here. So that's it.
Okay.
And I am Catharine Henry, and I am Laurel's sister. She is who convinced me to come to RWA in the first place, and I'm really enjoying it. I am having information overload, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience. And then we volunteered today. Both of us volunteered to be at check-in bags, and I got to help some of the authors, bring them water, and it was just wonderful to have this event for literacy.
That's one of the things that a lot of RWA people love about the national conference. And a lot of the local conferences will do some kind of charity work. It almost always has something to do with literacy. And I think that a lot of us really like it. What are some of the other things that you like about RWA's national conference that you're like, okay, this is the first time I've been here and I really liked this?
Well, the friendliness of every single writer is amazing. You'll be talking to somebody and then you look down and then you'll recognize their name and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to this very famous person who's won tons of awards, has like one of our conference, panelist, has 100 and something books out. And she was just open and willing to talk. That's what's amazing. It's such a supportive group. The romance writers they're just so supportive. It's just blows you away. And then you get the brain overload. And you have a sister who types 100 words a minute and takes notes for you.
What I appreciate about RWA is I'm not really even a romance writer. I feel like I snuck in under the gate and nobody knows. But there are a lot of science fiction young adult writers and young adult writers who don't exactly write. They write fantasy. And RWA is extremely welcoming. So when I would tell somebody, oh, I write science fiction young adult, and I would think, it's not romance. And they would say, that's wonderful. Tell me about your story. Oh, that's great. I never got a single, what are you doing here at a romance conference? So I appreciate being able to come here just because everyone is so welcoming. And it is the best conference I've ever been to in my day life. I am a grant writer. I've been to plenty of business conferences, and this is nothing like that. It is just a welcoming, fun. The workshops are fun. You can't decide between them, and you're looking down the list and saying, I'm going to this one. And then Laurel would say, no, I'm going to that one. Oh, darn it. Well, we both have to go to that one, I guess.
Yeah, I have to say that my husband was telling me in one of the workshops, there was this woman and she was typing so fast, and then she would go to the author's website and pull stuff from the website, and then there were pictures, and then she would take a picture with her phone and upload it to a computer while she was typing, and it was amazing. And then I was talking with you and you're like, well, so I do this and I type 100 words a minute, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my husband was sitting next to you, and then he heard us and like, oh, you, and he was like, you. So I have to say, I think everyone now wants you to be, will you please come to my class and take notes for me?
That was Erica Ridley's newsletter class, and by hour 2, my fingers literally stopped working because they were so tired of typing because she can talk very fast, and everything she said I wanted to take down. It was all really good information. So an amazing conference.
Yes. It was a great conference, and that was a great workshop. I can't wait until she makes that into a class that we can all take and do it at our own pace. So what were some of your favorite things?
Oh, gosh, the diversity panel this morning, the librarians, that was amazing. I was like, okay, we're going to the librarians, and what'll it be like? What are they going to talk about? And it was fascinating to learn about how the budgets work. There was somebody from LA County, which is huge, and then there was a lady from a smaller, rural place, and how they bought books, and how their budgets are limited. So, it was just amazing to talk to them, and just the people. And one of the reasons we wanted to volunteer is because we were so welcomed and felt so welcome that it was like, gosh, we want to just say hi and thank you and what are you doing? So yeah, that was.
Oh, I have another favorite.
She has a what? Oh, she has a favorite. Are you going to hog it?
Yes. RWA has events before the conference. So we actually came early to the Kiss of Death ATF conference, which is alcohol, tobacco, firearms. It was an all-day conference with all sorts of ATF agents that would say, this is what fire does and this is how fire works, and this is what I do with my explosion dog, and here's the dog, and they bring the dog with them. And all day I took notes and thought, wow, you wouldn't think that would be part of RWA, but it was, and they would say, we're the best chapter, come and join Kiss of Death, and really enjoyed that too, to have that surrounding workshop workshops around the RWA that are part of it, and chapters and all these things that they do. And they were all full, too.
Yeah, I've got to say this about the Kiss of Death. There's a whole room full of women all taking notes and staring at this young man who, he's like,
G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe, yeah. And so it was really, really amazing. They had such amazing people, and we learned so much. And there was also something happening in Denver during the class. So she kept checking. She said, I'm sorry, I'm checking this, but there's something happening out there. Okay, solved. We got the perps. And everyone was like, yay. It was wild.
Oh my gosh, that sounds totally fun. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I just have to say, if anybody is watching on the YouTube channel, what happens to me at the end of a really long period of time of like go, 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 so my eyes start burning and then watering. So it looks like I'm bawling while I'm listening to you talk about this. I'm totally not meaning to cry, but my eyes are like, I'm so tired. Yesterday I had to start drinking some tea because my voice was totally shot, which is one of the things that you get when you're at these national conferences. But despite all of the being tired and so much going on and brain overload, what do you think? Are you going to come back?
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely. Everyone should come. I want you to read more romances.
Yes, and next year it's in New York, which will be really fun.
Yes, and New York is only one plane stop away from where I live in Sweden, so I'm very excited to try a shorter flight. Well, thank you very much, Laurel and Kathryn. We're really glad that you shared some time with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, there you are, a whole bunch of really excited and hopefully encouraging to you people talking about their great experience at this particular conference. And I hope that what it's done is give you some ideas about what you could be learning at a conference, maybe something smaller and closer to home, something that you want to save up for, something that's big and in your genre, or something that you're like, you know what, I'm not a romance writer, but it would appear that lots of people are learning lots of stuff about how to become a better writer at the Romance Writers Conference. So maybe I should consider that one. And again, it's going to be in New York City in 2019 and San Francisco in 2020. So a couple more places that you can look into whether or not you want to join us. And in the meantime, whatever you're doing, I hope that you are feeling encouraged and excited by listening to these other excited authors who have just spent 5 days getting really encouraged and learning more stuff. And maybe you've picked up a couple of tips, like even if you haven't got a book out yet, it might be time to start thinking about doing a newsletter like John learned. I hope that this has been fun for you, and I look forward to sharing more with you about what I learned at the conference in the next couple of weeks. Have a great day.